Our leaders in our region have been dealing with flooding issues, have been dealing with issues of salt water intruding into the water table and so forth. And for years, they had been up in Tallahassee and in Washington, banging on doors, lobbying, trying to get support for ways of addressing the problems that we're having down here. And what happened was representatives of 4 different county governments kept banging into each other. The people down in Monroe County, those people in Key West who have, in the Keys who have issues, the people in Miami, the people in Broward, and up here in Palm Beach County. And what they found was they were all lobbying for the same things, and they had to get together. They said, if we get together, we'll be stronger. We can coordinate our talking points and make sure that we are using the same data. So they did that. And what occurred was, while they were coordinating things, what they decided to do was take an inventory initially. What are we already doing? What kind of programs do we have? What is going on in our way of policy that is already on some level addressing this issue? And a lot of these things were taking place under the banner of sustainability, or the Go Green campaign that Palm Beach County has. Things that could, in small ways, by getting people involved in doing small things, and in large ways, in ways that were policy oriented and trying to get grants for our area to approach some of the engineering projects that we need. So there was a lot already going on, but then there were things that still needed either funding or policy change. And in order to do this, they have to coordinate with a lot of people. So it's the county governments speaking to one another. And now that they've come up with a climate action plan, it's about walking that down into the municipalities and letting citizens know what's going on. They have action items in 6 different areas. And one of the areas is our natural areas and natural systems. And by working together on restoring our natural systems, those natural systems provide some support and some climate resiliency, they call it. Not just a coastal problem of coastal erosion. We have a problem of inland flooding. And the reason that we have this problem is that we are built on a swamp, and we have a system of canals that drain this area. And in many areas, what was taken out to create the canals was built up, so that's then the property on which your residence was built. And so these are gravity canals. And what that means is that the water has to flow back out, and it's currently doing so by gravity. As the water raises due to sea level rise, gravity is no longer going to be sufficient to enable this area to drain, and that's one of the reasons that we have the inland flooding. The built environment is something that the Regional Climate Action Plan is looking at. And as we develop and as we work toward sustainability and prosperity in a region that's confronting this issue, we need to think about how and where we build things. And coordinating this regionally is part of what this plan is about. We have to identify and label areas that are vulnerable to climate change impacts. What are those impacts? Those are things like flooding. There are also things like the intrusion of salt into our water. Some places have drought. Some places are concerned we're losing species of animals, or invasive species are coming in.
We have to think of ourselves as part of the whole Florida coast. We can't do it alone. A friend stopped by yesterday and said something that I found really interesting. If you live in districts 3 or 4, or you live on Cordova, where I live, there's been lots of flooding this year, extraordinary. Some people think it's just routine and it's always been that way, but it's different. There's no doubt about it. There's more of it. So she stopped by and said, I don't know what's happening. I know that we've got to fix the seawalls. Let's get a diver down there and figure out what's wrong. But she said the electrical people are over there this week, and each time they dig a hole, the hole's filling up. What's going on?
Did was say, where are the problems? Let's identify them, let's take an inventory of them, and let's label those areas as adaptation action areas that will receive priority funding. What one group does to fortify may actually cause problems for their neighbors. That gives a point of entry that can spread to even more neighbors. So it is a problem in which every jurisdiction is a piece of the puzzle, and coordinating all of that is important. The Regional Climate Action Plan has secured a $975,000 grant to move the regional planning effort down into the municipalities where people can interact with it and get information. So this is happening now. So it makes sense for municipal governments to make contact with the Regional Climate Action Plan and start asking the questions, what resources are available to evaluate our problem here? You know, there are going to be hard decisions to be made. This is a democracy. We all have to take responsibility.